Alright, time to go live and get some work done. Good evening, everybody. Most people won't be here yet, but that's okay. Give me a chance to quickly get some iPhone jobbies done. Crikey, I hate this thing. So you gotta plug it in 3 times before it magically comes back to life. I know you can put a battery in them. I think I'm gonna have to do that. It's actually been surprisingly busy today with phones. I think this is about the 5th one I've done today. And I've got one more to actually repair. There's something wrong with its charge circuit. If I'm lucky, it might just be a battery. I'm kind of hoping it is, actually. Okay, that's good. Son of a... Oh, there it is. I was going to say, cheap blighters left out the screen thingy. The earpiece, rather. The mesh. They hadn't. It just fell out. Wow, YouTube is really not been very good to me lately, I've noticed. Seems like I've upset YouTube, and they're not announcing when I'm going live anymore. That's quite annoying. For the longest time I would not do the iPhone 7s because I was deadly worried about the Touch ID button. Really did not want to risk being the one who have to tell a customer, I'm sorry, I broke your Touch ID and now your phone is basically useless. Even though it's not, but you know what I mean. Once people get focused on a fault on something that was caused by someone else and not themselves, then that's all they're going to think about. Steve, Ben, Rodrigo, Eddie, Steve, another Steve. Hey Jim, Miles, Barry, Terry, Christian. Alright. Seems like everybody just turned up at once. It does seem to... It just seems to be getting worse lately. Previously, people would get notifications within about a minute. Now, it's taken around about... Let's see, how long have we been running for? 3 minutes. I suppose it's not bad in the greater scheme of things, but the only downside is then you get this 3-minute dead zone at the start of every video, which means you have to go and edit it out or do something with it. Okay. Just going to heat this up. Mladen, Commutix, Teresa and PR, hello. Josh. I'll just heat these things up to with 250 on the hot air station. Seems to be a pretty good temperature point. Just transferring that little piece of opaque window. I don't know how seriously important that is, but I do just generally prefer to transfer it if I can. A lot of the phones that I work on now don't have it. I think it's been dropped by previous techs. I can understand why. Okay. Good. Good. No tap dancing today. Not yet. I don't imagine I'm going to unless I do encounter some situation where it's needed, but for the moment I'm going to rest. Ah. I did add some values for the 2850 this morning. So I've been kind of doing my bit. Hopefully there's been other people contributing as well. I need to now start looking at working on the OpenBoard server, OpenBoard data front end on the server side, on the website, so that people can check statistics or just do secondary things with that data. Maybe even being able to, say, lodge a request that a particular value is not quite right, things like that. Early days yet. Nope, that feels wrong, but it should be so right. That one's right. Travis. The internet in general has been of poor form lately, at least around here. Like, I'll go to watch my various usual YouTubers, and normally I can do 1440p 60 frames per second, as in watch it without any troubles at all. But the last couple of days it's been stalling out on me. So I don't know. Maybe they're doing upgrades. Maybe there's too many people on the internet we need to start culling. But the internet is full. No more. It is funny, when I started getting on the internet myself back in, 1990 or so, you knew most of the servers off by hand, and you knew a lot of the people on those servers the other side of the world. And then over time it became a little less personal, and the anonymity started to come in. And the great flame wars started. Hey, WeFix TVs, good to see you. What's new about the house? Well, the back patio room had its plastering finished today, so we're just waiting for the plaster to dry. And let's see, and after that I'm trying to think, they'll probably paint it, so we'll decide on that. Yeah, I'm not personally doing a lot myself. I'm too busy with the software. I mean, this morning I was up till 5 o'clock in the morning working on Flexboard View still. It's just the way I do things. So I go full on with the software until I'm happy enough with it that, okay, I can sit back and just sort of incrementally make small improvements or fix small bugs. But when you're actually in the thick of it and you're dealing with the core operations and databases and things like that, I find I have to basically just keep going and going and going, because if I stop, it's too much effort to start up again just for one little thing. Trying to remember where everything is. Now, I know you're supposed to document your code, and I do a reasonably okay job of it, and I break up the code into files that are pertaining to the functions that are in there. But there's a lot of stuff that you keep in your head while you're working on it, the stuff that like lets you know, oh yeah, I know where that bit of code has been worked on, or I know where that data's been manipulated. And then when you stop, you sort of all that falls to the ground and you forget it, and you have to, when you come back in, you have to sort of pick it all back up and remember everything again. I do have to also work on the multimeter software. Like I've been trying to get the BK390 up and running, so that produces the data file that Flexboard you can read, and I've had some success with that. Talking to a chap called John at the moment, but there seems to be a bit of a strange glitch. I'm not quite sure what it is, and it's one of the big reasons why when it comes to writing support software or the OBS module program for multimeters, it really is best if I have one of those meters with me. Because if you don't have one of the meters with you, it turns into like a 2 or 3 week debacle. Whereas if you have the meter with you, it's over in a day or less. Okay, these cables are really popping out, so they're going to have a good old shove back in. We do not want Mr. Pinchy. So these ones are actually particularly bad. Just make sure we snare that in. You gotta be so quick with that. And naturally, of course, I realise that... come here. Thank you. Naturally, of course, these tabs get jammed. It's kind of like picking a lock. You gotta back up just enough. Let the pins slide in. Hope you don't get a trap pin. No, something's obstructing there. That's a little weird. I must have missed something there. Oh, by all means, Travis, yeah, go ahead. I mean, just use them as a template. You should be able to work out what I'm doing for the most part with it. It's not the most optimal code by any means. By the way, I can't find anything that it's obstructing with. So it's it's not sophisticated code. It's nothing fancy. It probably breaks a few thousand conventions, but it does get the job done. And my goodness, these are jamming up for whatever reason, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, that hurt. Get the old finger jammed in the phone. Oh, surging circuits. Okay, well, we've got a screen, so that's a good start. I started with this one being disassembled because when the person handed it to me this afternoon, they said to me, look, we'll pick it up tomorrow, it's no rush. I saw in the Smash display that it was doing the dreaded, you've pressed it too many times lockout. Yeah, so iPhone is disabled. But fortunately this one's just on the 5 minute state. And so I had to quickly come in here and shut the damn thing down. Alright, so hopefully this will unlock itself in 5 minutes or so. And hopefully the person will remember their passcode so it doesn't lock even further. Let's see. Miles, have you ever taken apart a TV before? What the heck was that? Oh, it's they've got an alarm going and I cannot disable it. Oh, that's hilarious. That's just downright hilarious. Gonna have to turn this off. And you are silenced. Now that 5 minute thing's gonna have to reset. Damn it. Let's see. Yeah, with TV screens, I'm presuming that's an LCD display. Depends what the sort of fault is. Most of the time the fault's with the backlight circuit or the input power supply. Yeah, Travis, I tried pressing the buttons. Unfortunately, this one did not want to shut off, which is really annoying. Hey, Tony W. Travis, don't feel too bad. Most of my code is like that. I mean, my code is out there for display to everybody on GitHub, and it'll give you a pretty good idea of how bad I am as a coder. I mean, I've got code that some poor people are still using 30 years on, so poor bastards. Most of the code that people are using is only about 25 years old now at this point. There's programs that I have that I don't think I've touched for the last 5 years. I know some people have sent me patches, and I just keep forgetting to put them in there because I keep forgetting to validate them. It's like I don't want to just blindly accept pull requests. So, you know, you need to go in and check that they're okay, and that they're not trying to drop some sort of thing in there that they're not supposed to. Sorry, I just had to find the name of this person. Great. Okay, that's done. Okay, now we've got to get the next one. So this one, another 7 Plus. It accepts the charge, but it's accepting about 1 amp. It doesn't seem to actually be getting hot, but it won't turn on. And what do you know, it turned on. What the hell? Oh. You know why it turned on? Because that's mine. That's my iPhone 7 Plus. This is the customer's iPhone 7 Plus. That explains that. I don't know why people leave. Okay, so yeah, this will take charge, but it's not actually chaining on. So I'm hoping it's a bad battery. It'd be nice if it is, because yeah, it's simpler that way. Anyway, that was fun. Good thing I didn't have anything on my phone that was gonna reveal things. I do have an iPhone XR that I should use, but I'm sort of sticking with the 7 Plus because it does have the bigger screen. And I'm fairly sure I've already fixed up that 7 Plus with the audio chip. And if it doesn't, then well, I can fix that too. Okay, I'm just going to give this a little bit of heat. It feels like this has not been opened before. So I just want to soften up the edges a little bit. Normally I don't do this, but unfortunately when I tried to stick the spudger in just then, I could feel that it was a very tight screen. Okay. Like I said, 99% of the time, I never do this, but when you get a bit of a tight one like that, kind of helps to warm it up a bit. Otherwise, you'll be replacing a screen as well. Nope, This is some sort of refurb. At least I'm guessing it's a refurb. Don't normally see that sticker in there. And the battery's got a code printed on it, which I don't normally see either. And it's installed a little bit skew. So this could be a refurb phone for all I know. I mean, maybe it is original Apple, but I don't know. Just kind of feels a bit refurby. Okay, it has been dropped. That screw there was all very loose, so yeah. I wonder if the screen's just buggered. Hey Mark, good evening to you, sir. iPad Pro screen you had to replace. Travis, what are they like? I haven't had one of those yet. How, are they the combined units now? Yeah, I just noticed this, yeah, this is definitely a refurb. It's got a laser etched marking on it. It's like MK06 or something, so. But I gotta say, in terms of rebirthed phones or refurbs, it's not too bad looking, this one. See ya, DJ. Okay, I'm just gonna get another 7 Plus screen. Hopefully I've got one. Hey Momo, come on, sorry buddy. Yeah, I know. What? Yeah. What? You want to help me get a 7 Plus screen? Come on. Oh, geez, you're getting fat. What are you, 5 kilo now? Hello, Key. Okay, there's the 7 Pluses. And let's see. Looks like we've only got originals left. Your brother's going to be right there. Don't you even try anything, Loki. There you go. You two boys go and play. Crikey. They camp out in front of my workshop. And so whenever I step outside, it's like, Daddy! And it's like, no, Daddy's working. You want to see Loki? Yeah, I can see what we can do about getting Loki in here. Just hang on there. He's not as pretty as Mo. Loki, come here. You got people who want to see you. There. Come on. Here we go. Yeah. You behave yourself now. Alright, here we go. This is Loki. He is quite a troublemaker. Hey, you come over there. Yeah? What you doing? He's like, he hasn't been in here before much. Very little. Come on. What you doing? Alright, think you take it outside? You take it outside? Yep, I think so too. There you go. Thanks for visiting. Alrighty. There's a bunch more work than I planned. think it's... Alright, time to... This jumper's getting a little warm. It's ridiculous, it's the middle of winter here and it's still damn hot. Now there's an excuse for cat hair on the MacBooks. Unfortunately, it does actually blow through here, through under the door, and it's a real problem. I was fixing up a screen on a 27-inch Mac today, an old 2010 model, and it was actually very difficult to stop just small bits of fluff getting in there, bits of hair. And it was from, one of them was from the cats, and they don't ever go in that room that I'm aware of. So it was very frustrating. I do need to find myself a superior positive pressure clean room or something, because it's a bit ridiculous, and I don't like it, to be honest. I don't like it for the fact that, I don't want to have to say to people, oh, I'm sorry, there's cat hair on your stuff. It's not very professional at all. Alright, so this screen works, so I'm thinking that this screen has a fault in it, perhaps? Maybe. Or maybe the battery's still not charging at all. I'm gonna put this on charge. You can't see. I'm gonna put it on charge for a bit longer, see if it comes to life. If it does, screen. If it doesn't, something else. Right, we're going to stick alarm phone back into its case. Stick that on the outbound tray. Hey, Luke Davis. Okay, we'll just temporarily hold their original screen. It's interesting, I can't see any impact marks or anything like that, but that's not to say it isn't dead. So what we'll do is we'll get on with the MSI that needs a repair, because that one's been languishing in the workshop a little bit too long now. Let's get ourselves a container. These things, unfortunately, are notorious for, well, these have the physically attached to the main board jack, so you have to frequently replace them. They don't seem to take fatigue too well. I don't know, maybe it is a Republic of Gamers. It looks like it's missing that screw, that screw, that screw. It's missing screws. This thing's having a good life. At least it's being used a lot. Hey, Stuart Menzies and Sam. Sam, hazardous conditions typically are human biological type things. Yeah, you try to you wear the gloves because, well, even the human factor aside, you really don't want a lot of the stuff that you're working on, like fluxes and all that. You don't want that on your body. But then you get the human factors as well, which you really don't want on your body. And it's not to say that, I'm certainly not, people aren't perfectly clean. That's unreasonable. We all do have a certain degree of biomass that is potentially contagious to someone else. But the trick is, you're used to your own sort of thing, and you don't know what someone's new stuff is going to bring about for you. So I try to avoid getting it on me in the first place. Okay, where's the battery in this thing? Come on, come on. I do love it when you get the seal broken. Okay, what's this one? This one's been through the wars. There we go. So they've got a 1 terabyte, 256. That. Let's get that battery disconnected. That's starting to puff up. I think it's starting to puff up. How's that stuck down? It's two-sided tape. Damn thing's got two-sided tape on it. I honestly am not sure how I'm supposed to get that out. Actually, you know what? That can stay on there. But this one has to come out. Right, heatsink's going to probably have to come off. God, I hate this sort of design. I really loathe and detest designs where the main board is captured by things like the heatsink above it. People may dislike MacBooks and stuff, but for the most part, MacBooks have a sensible manufacturing design and repair design. I know it goes against popular hatred, but unfortunately it's the truth of it. Okay. Hopefully we'll be able to just slide the main board out. Hopefully. No, this keyboard, something under there. Why have I got two-sided tape under here? What sort of sick joke is this? Have I missed the obvious way to get this battery out? Someone tell me I have. White Wally or whatever your name is, the best way to learn, and I hate to use other people's terms, but basically go find something just that's broken that you can get for cheap or for nothing, and just try and fix it. It's very hard to have a better teacher than the reality of trying to fix something yourself. I mean, certainly watch plenty of videos too, but at the end of the day, you'll often find that practical learning is extremely valuable. I swear I'm missing something obvious here, because I can't see how this would be done normally. It doesn't make sense that they would affix a battery, surely, that I can't remove. I really need to actually drop some alcohol down here, and that's very unusual. I feel like the battery's been... This doesn't feel like an original battery. Ow. Yeah, there's no markings on it or anything of originals. Gotcha. Well, 90% gotcha. Or maybe they didn't have any mounting brackets. And definitely the battery's puffed up, look at that. And yeah, this is generic Bango Bang battery. And they adhered the flex to the board. What the hell? God, I hate it when they do this sort of thing. Like, I could have basically taken that main board out if that trackpad flex hadn't actually been bonded. Alright, that was a lot of work for that. Stuart Menzies, as far as I can tell, the jack is actually jacked. Yeah. Yeah, I can see it's missing the pin inside here is missing, so that needs to be removed. It's got hot glue on it, so it's been removed before. Means they're acutely aware of how much of a pain this one is. Not surprising, I've had a number of these like that. Sure hope I got the right connector. Yep, looks good. Sad thing is, most of the time the positive pin doesn't actually fit into the board. I've not been able to ever find a proper replacement for it, even though they're listed for this board. It never seems to be the right one. They've always got a short pin rather than the long pin. Okay, right, now I need a slight thermally resistant prop. These screws away. So elevate it a bit. Okay, now this USB 3 connector is going to be a slight problem. Sort of reluctant to do this at an angle, because usually when things are falling at an angle, when it comes time for it to actually cleanly drop out of the board, it gets snagged. I can't really see. So, there we go, maybe we can try that. Okay, now I've got to protect this USB connector. And we need to change my multimeter. Not multimeter, soldering iron. to use the big chunky tip. And then we're going to pickle the old lead-free solder. Well, mind you, it's probably actually already leaded, but we're going to pickle it again anyway. Give us a chance of getting it out easier. Hey Yamara, welcome. The other bonus that we've got here is that we're going to be fighting against the hot glue. Okay, that should add a bit of weight. Let's see. And hopefully patience will serve us well here. We just keep warming it up until it's ready to come out on its own. So the hot glue is going to complicate things a bit though. There we go. Good to see the fume extractor doing its job. Hey Warren, good evening to you. Right, now we've got to get in and clear out those mount points, because we can't have them filled with solder when we try to put the new one in, obviously. And it's best to do that while it's warm. So we'll just get some wick, we'll reuse that. And for the most part, we should only have to basically just do hot air wicking to get this out. But we'll do it under the microscope. Crap. Now the only thing I pushed up there was the air. The temperature stayed the same. But I could just see that it was languishing a bit too much, and the circuit board was actually starting to get a little bit soft. Easy peasy. with hot air wicking, it is, if you have a good wick, it helps a lot. If your wick's no good, then you'll probably struggle to get it to pull the solder through. Also note that once the pot or the hole that you're working on has heated up enough, you often actually have to heat the wick. See, I move the hot air to the wick so that the wick becomes the hottest part and it draws up that solder. So that's all good now. We've got a nice clean set there. That's just flux filling up that one. Should be able to put our new connector in. Trying to think how much of this is hot glue. Probably quite a bit. Hot glue is very useful, but it does bring its own set of issues with it when you come to reworking a job. Yeah, that's fun. At least it's fairly easy to control it. Yeah, I suppose it's the old practice sort of thing. Do it enough times and it can look a bit like that. I mean, it is certainly easier than other techniques. I know that, yeah, if you try to use a soldering iron, it is actually quite difficult to be able to get that happen. Okay, so they're good, yeah, and as usual, like I said, that rear pin just does not fit. So I'm actually, instead of bending that pin, I am going to clip it. I'm going to clip it flush with where the, hopefully where it should go. And then we're just going to basically build a solder pool behind it. There's almost no point trying to bend that one. It almost always fatigue cracks. Okay, so we clipped it. Get it back in there, and then we'll just flood some bunch of solder on there, and it'll be fine. I'll void the warranty. Hey Pedro, good to see you. Yes, I'll void the warranty. I'm turning this PC into a Mac. What's the fastest you have? Sorry. You can usually do straightforward screens, so like a 6S or something like that. Yeah, 10 to 15 minutes you can usually get them done. And they're good bread and butter jobs. You can't deny bread and butter jobs. Because you got to decide, are you here to make money or are you here just to have fun? If you're here to have fun, then there's a lot of other better ways to spend your time. But if you need to make money, and goodness knows most of us do, then those iPhone jobs are very nice to have. That's going to result in a cold joint if not careful. You need to see, it's only just there firming up. With this, it seems like I'm holding the solder on there for a long time, or the iron on there rather, for a long time. But really what I'm doing is I'm making sure that the solder wicks all the way through. And you know you've done that successfully, that when you take the iron away, the solder should sort of like draw back into the joint. Like there's a suction force on the other side. There you can see it doing there slightly. Of course you watch, I'm going to flip it over and it's going to look terrible. But yeah, you can see how it's wicked through. It even wicked through the hot glue. That's pretty impressive. Alright, now we've got to do those 2 ground pins. Interestingly, this is actually a solder I don't use that much. This is genuine 6040 leaded solder. It's not the 6337 stuff. And it's quite a thick radius compared to what I'm normally used to these days. You might see it pop through. There it goes. It just did it ever so slightly. You can just sort of see the surface of the solder light just clinch a little bit. And that's when you know you've managed to get it, it's gone through to the other side. There it goes. Okay, the one on the left there didn't quite, sorry, on the right rather, didn't quite wick up as well as I thought. So I'll have to do that one again. That was the first one I did. I think what happened is the flux ran low. So we don't really need any more solder, we just have to add more heat. And give it a chance. Ah, that's a terrible job. I think the hot glue is messing with it a bit. There we go. No, it still didn't come through. Well, it's good enough in that case anyway. I just would have liked it to have been better, but I guess we can't always have that. Okay, now the fun part, and that is setting up that. Oh wow, this is really messy, this board. And it's really fun because I actually need to set this up at quite an angle. And that's a pretty big fillet I've got to fill there. Standard workshop bench tool. It's going to be a big fillet. Let's see how that looks on the other side. Alright, it came through as a nice shiny ball, that's good. Yeah, I'm just trying to think whether I'll lay a reinforcement strand on there or not. I think this might actually be alright, but what I'll do is I'll follow the path of the previous situation and I will hot glue around this back side here. Because normally what will happen with these is they'll tend to break off these front connections, so yeah, the hot glue does stop that. The break that was in the previous one, it was actually broke the pin out from the inside, which is not something you can stop with hot glue or any other mechanical mounting. In fact, it probably is more of an indication that the mechanical reinforcement did the job properly. Unfortunately, it just sort of took it out with the took out the connector as well, sadly. It depends on the solder too. Certainly lead-free will have a greater inclination of cracking. And also depends on the stress points. If it does crack, I'll cover it under warranty. But that's a pretty big blob I put in there. So, yeah. Hey, Mr. Magna. Yes, we're sorrowing our way through this one. Hopefully he'll be proud. It would certainly be better if this was all on a flex cable instead of being mounted onto the chassis. But then again, I wouldn't make money, would I? And yeah, there's not a lot of satisfaction in fixing up a flex cable. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much I'm going to secure this. If they drop it, it's still going to break. There's nothing much I can do about that. The main thing I want to avoid is them actually breaking the circuit board. And so I need it to be secure enough that it will endure what they throw at it until the connector and pin breaks. Oops. Now we see we've got a problem here with this arm. See how the fatigue crack is showing through? So now fortunately that's not a critical part, but that will basically sooner or later give up. Probably on the next drop actually. I'll just have to tell the customer, I said, look, you got one more drop left in this. Well, actually you don't. This was the last drop. After this, it's not going to come back. And that phone that we were looking at before has not charged. It's sitting at 1 amp constant and it's not charging. Okay, so we definitely have a real problem there. It's not just a bad screen or only a bad screen. Something else at play. What's interesting is I can't actually feel any heat of it directly. But there should be, because that's 5 watts of heat going somewhere. Okay. Trim the old logic board. Yeah, I could try and find something like that. I don't think I have anything that's going to be quite that thin. Hey Ratmo, evening. Alright, we're gonna let that cool off. It should do the trick. Should be nicely encased. I might do the other side too. All I'm doing is just taking shavings from a hot glue stick and using the hot air. The hot air is only set at 250, so it's quite a low setting. You don't need much for hot glue. The nice thing is it doesn't affect the actual plastics on the board. It's not so much for mechanical strain, I mean it is, but it's more just to try and make the whole thing sort of act more in unity. Try and sort of stop vibration as well. Yeah, I don't think I want two-part epoxy, thank you very much. I want stuff that I can remove. Yeah, trying to stop the vibrations and things like that, the hot glue works well with. Because more often than not with these connectors, it's usually the back that snaps off. Just put that into the cooler. Michael, we haven't really got anything going at the moment because everything's just too all over the place right now. Probably when we get to the point where we can do the cat shelter, we'll be probably putting up some cameras, but for now, no. Time to put this thing back together now. The part we all hate. Hey Keith. Well, we've already fixed it. It had a broken DC. The center pin snapped clean out. That and the fact that it's an MSI, I guess. Not sure what to do about that battery though. It really kind of irks me the way that it's just stuck on with two-sided tape like that. And yet I'm going to have to do exactly the same to put it back. What the hell is that noise? That should do. Yeah, Paul, I'm going to, at least for the moment, put that battery pack back. I don't want to, but considering that this person probably 90% of the time runs off the power supply, of 240, I don't think it's... The biggest issue is more just that it's expanding, but quite frankly, I think this laptop is probably due for retirement any day. Not that that should make me choose otherwise, but I will advise them. But I suspect they'll go, yeah. That's some nasty tape, that is. Might put some cushioning two-sided foam on instead. Yep. Just losing my orientation there. This is the other thing I hate, is when you've got to flip boards over to detach cables like this, particularly edge mounted ones. It's like, what are you doing to me? Why are you making me do this? This is absurd. Now you're probably thinking, why don't I just let the board sit down on the chassis? But the problem is that the CPU and the GPU, the dies are exposed and they're covered in, what do you call it, thermal compound, and I don't want to risk chipping them for a start. As most PC designs, unfortunately, leave a, yeah, they don't make your heart sing. Let's put it that way. They're not the wild thing. Instead, they just make you cry because you think, you could have spent another $10 on the manufacturing side and done a much better job. Instead, you end up with this. Yeah, Catherine, they probably are expensive. Hey, Rilla. I'll find out. I'll check my supplier and see what the costs are, but I don't imagine it's going to be very favourable. Like I said, I suspect they will probably just go, nah, don't worry about it, mate. She'll be right. She'll be right. At least it's not too much of a drama to replace the battery. I mean, sure, you got to take that bottom deck off, but that comes off pretty easy now. all the damage it's sustained, it doesn't really have a very strong clipping action. It's more relying on the screws now, which, funny enough, is how they should have been originally. Okay, I'm not going to try and dig that off. I'm just going to... There's no point trying to gouge my way around that chip, because I'll do something dumb, knock off one of the filter caps or something, and then we'll be crying. So we just got our little P blob, P streak. Might as well check the fans while we're at it and see how many... No, I shouldn't have put that down already, damn it. Let's see how many dust bunnies we've got. And is it actually going to come off? Is there a fourth screw? Oh, there's a fourth screw. Okay, dust bunny wise, we don't really have anything. We just got that little fellow, which is good. It means it got cleared out the last time. You normally expect to see a complete set in here. Okay, Jim, take care. Sorry to hear you got another doctor's appointment tomorrow. Hopefully it goes acceptably well. I guess it's sort of the best we can hope for. Jessica Ryan. Alright. Is it supposed to go under? crud. Damn it. There's not supposed to be a magnet in there. I know how the magnet got in there, but there's not supposed to be one there. I used to use magnets to collect, the various screws and stuff like that, but honestly I found lately that I prefer not to have magnets holding the screws together. I find it just sort of more often than not gets in the way. Let me guess, there was a screw. Is there a screw under here? Okay, thankfully no screw under there. I was half expecting there to be a mainboard screw sitting under the heatsink somewhere and I forgot to undo it. That said, I've kind of forgotten where the damn things went now. Well, memory, you're not doing a good job tonight. Yes, I did put new paste on. I used toothpaste, is that alright? It looks the same as thermal paste, so I figure it must do the same job. I don't use mayonnaise anymore, so, that people should be thanking me for that. Mayonnaise was getting a bit expensive. My wife didn't appreciate the funny taste after I'd done a repair job, and she'd be like, "Did you do something to this mayonnaise?" I'm like, "Yeah, there might have been some spillage from the dust bunnies." Use mouthwash in the ultrasonic. Yeah, that could work. And I can gargle it at the same time as I'm cleaning my boards. Fresh leaded safety flavour. Alright, seriously, where the hell did... Okay, you've got to be one. You're a little thread, so you've got to be one. See, they don't even mark on the board where they're meant to go, in the sense of normally they will put... I have got a feeling there is definitely... Yeah, you mongrel, there really was. There was two under there. Damn it. There was two under there and I didn't see them. Just blindly put that heatsink and fan back on. Damn it. Oh well, only way to learn. This is the other reason why I hate it when you do PC jobs, because there's so many different PCs, you rarely encounter the same ones twice in a sufficiently short period of time that you make these kind of mistakes almost with every job. Paul Mara, sorry that I missed that. I must have turned away, unfortunately. Oh well. I did look, but then I couldn't see the holes, but then when I realised I had excess screws, all of a sudden the holes became visible to me. Typical. Part-time as a comedian, I don't know. Definitely get booed off stage. Alright, there and there. Little mongrels. Any more that want to step up and claim the prize of being annoying? So I've got two fine pitch ones, but they're going to be for the hard drive. Okay. No, unfortunately I can't actually cheat and put that thermal paste as is. Should be a few screams of horror, that'll be good. What I don't like about these sort of configurations where the screws are already in place and you... Okay, that's good. What I'm doing there is re-smearing the paste, making sure the layer is really thin. Have you ever done metal work and you're doing surfacing? You know, you kind of rub back and forth like you're bluing it, as opposed to bluing it when you're heat treating, tempering sort of thing. Still feels like a few too many screws around here. Oh, we've got the... No, the battery doesn't have any. It should normally, but it doesn't. Okay, locked and loaded. We do have a MacBook, by the way, tonight. So it's not all non-standard stuff. Right, now that battery. And I'll find some tape to use in it. Something nice-ish. We'll only put 3 pieces. I think it should suffice. Clippers, alsjeblieft, bij dankie. This is a nice foamy sort of acrylic adhesive tape. It's like it's clear plastic, but it's foam at the same time. It's quite interesting. Super glue it down. That's harsh. I don't think I'd quite go that far. Tonight's machine will be a MagSafe 2. It's a 1502 machine, as far as I understand. I'll have to double check. Now the hardest thing I find with doing this sort of stuff is actually getting the top layer off. Actually, now that I think about it, I really should put that 4th piece on. Just realised I need it for stability. I use this stuff in my MacBooks now when I put the new batteries in, if I've had to destroy the backing tape. It's a little harder to get out though with the spudger. So I do make my life a little harder if I'm the future tech. This is not, I don't think this is Tessa tape, this one. This is high bond. Let's see, foamed acrylic tape, yep. Sticky both sides, and it's about 1.5mm, 2mm thick. It does look very, I do have Tessa tape, and it does look superficially very similar. But the Tessa tape that I have is substantially thinner than this. This has got a nice thickness about it. So I'll show you Tessa tape I have. Yeah, so like, this is Tessa tape, and it's substantially thinner. Whereas this stuff here I get specifically for the fact that it has a very fat cushioning. I suppose you could consider it super fat Tessa. That sounds wrong. Oh, where the hell did I put that battery? Ah, there. Now the other thing you got to watch with this particular type of connector is they have a really bad tendency of one of the sides of the pins will bend. And it's like, thank you so much for doing that. Really wanted you to do that. And then you've got to get in there with the microscope and try and straighten it up and hope that you don't wiggle it back and forth too many times that you end up suffering a fatigue fault and it snaps clean off, and you're like, well, that's it, I'll just go jump off the building. I just realised I don't think they've given me the power brick for this, so I'm not sure what power connector to use. And it looks fat and chunky, this one. That actually is a very serious center pin on that. Yeah. So I'm thinking that my usual, what do you call it? Toshiba Asus one will not work. I can't even find it. No, well, doesn't matter. Let's get these screws in, get this job off the job table. Looks like we need to magnetize that a bit better. $180 or $120. Most of these are usually $120. When you get to the 17-inch desktop type ones, then yeah, $180 starts coming up. All the all-in-ones. Now the voltage will be the 19 volts standard in this one. I can see here 19 volts something amps. It's either 6 or 9 amps, I can't quite read it. If it's 6, that's 120 watt. If it's 9, it's 180. .15, so it's a 120 watt unit. What's the one tool I cannot live without? My brain. No, that's the trouble is there's too many tools that are like that. Too many tools that are essential for the job. If I really had to pick something, things like, yeah, the spudger, this particular spudger. It's going to be flat as a tack, that is. Oh, alright, that's going to go now into the recovery room. And we'll probably have some felines at the door. Oh, no. How disappointing. Did not have my fan club there. I just realised we've got the iPhone 7 to check. The one that it's taking charge, but it's not charging. Here we go. So there's a couple of options. It could just be a dud battery. What I might do is actually get the infrared camera on this and see where it's heating up. We don't need the screen for that task. But we do need the infrared camera. Come on. Let's pop some charge into this, see what happens. Now, we've got a lot of reflections going on there, but we'll see if we get a warm up elsewhere. See what it's drawing. And now it's drawing nothing. So it feels kind of tri-star-ish, but I don't trust that. I'm just going to see if it starts suddenly picking up heat. I gotta get a replacement battery. Sometimes it can just be as simple as that. Yeah, it's oscillating between 140 and 50. Okay. Ah, well, duh. I didn't have it connected, so that was a bad start by me. Whoops. Let's try that again. Alright, now it's drawing the 1 amp. The question is to see whether that battery heats up or not. And while we're waiting, we can have a look at questions. Have you tried the Chinese ones? Thinking of getting the HDI 101. $200 cheaper than the FLIR 1 Pro and double the resolution. So what is it? 240 Yeah, what is it? 240 by what? So this is what I can't work out. You look at this, and there's no clear indication of where that heat is going, but there's 5 watts going into there somewhere. Now I don't believe it's that camera area. That makes no sense in this particular instance. It's more reflection than anything else. Just quieten it down a bit and try to find the hot spot. Yeah, it's drawing a full amp at 5. Yeah, so 5 watts does not hide. Yeah, it's a lot of heat to be in a phone. Let's see what it's like on the other side. See, if it was tri-star, then I would actually expect no power, or 200 milliamp, or something like that, you know. But this, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to take the board out and find out where that 5 watts is going, because the infrared camera is distinctly inconclusive at this stage. Not through any fault of its own. It's probably the heat is coming up from the other side of the main board, and of course naturally is obscured by the chassis. So yeah, it makes sense. So now we've got the joyous task of taking the damn main board out. Hooray! Don't we just love doing that? $320 by $240. Wow. What's wrong, Bob? Don't like X? What are you, anti-Luddite? Nothing wrong with X. Works perfectly fine. I've always wondered about people who don't like X because of the fact that it's 30 plus years old. I mean, I get it. It does have its issues, but I think for a lot of the time, particularly those trying to push Wayland, they're overstating the severity of those issues and trying to create scenarios in which validates their desire to push X away. But the thing is, at the end of the day, it's been around this long and people still haven't managed to displace X. Yeah, Miles, I'd be worried about them fudging the numbers a little bit. Yeah, I fully expect they'll be upscaling that or something like that. Yeah, for all I know, it's probably an 80-60 sensor and they're quadruply upscaling it, and would not surprise me one bit. I remember when it was all the rage and fashion to write Unix off in general. It was like, oh, Unix is gone, the way of the dinosaur, etc., etc. And, well, it's still around. It's just one of those systems that pretty much won't die. I mean, by all means, put a pretty wrapper on it, because realistically, Unix in general is not entirely user-friendly. It's very administrator-friendly, or tech-friendly, but it's certainly not overly user-friendly. These days we do get intimidated by the command line. Well, that was weird. That was like magic just then. Ah, lordy, I hate all these multi-layers of screws. Ah, okay, so... And then there's one under there as well, but I think we can get away with that one. Apple is closer to Unix, but I suppose your statement stands. Apple is closer to Linux, given that Linux is not truly a Unix, at least because it hasn't been certified as such. But we'll call it Unix-like. Yeah, there's certainly plenty of ways to argue against things with technicalities. At the end of the day, it does a pretty good job, and it probably is responsible for a great deal of the revival of people using or looking at Unix type systems again. It is funny that, yeah, Linux is somewhat ubiquitous, but not on the desktop. On the desktop it just can't quite make it. Who knows, maybe Windows will use it as their kernel. Okay, finally got that out. Sorry folks. No, wrong one. There you go. It's all out now. Yes, Apple is a BSD variant. I've been perfectly happy running with Unix systems for the last, crikey, how long now? 30 years. Last 30 years, more than happy running Unix systems. Okay, I'm going to need a dock cable. Please tell me I bought a battery in. Yes, I did. I do consider myself actually quite lucky for the fact that I grew up at around about the right time to see the transition from computers being these really, relatively speaking now, looking back, antiquated units with just switches on the front panel to program in, through to the little Z80 machines like the ZX81, and the Commodore 64s and all that sort of stuff, through the first PCs, and then, you know, I consider myself very lucky to have had that experience of growing through all of that. Gotta say though, I'm glad we've got what we got now. Can't say I want to go back to that old stuff. I know some people get nostalgic about it, but not me. I'm like, I'll take my high resolution screens and goods processors and global communications, thank you. Hey Paul, Howie? Hal, sorry. Borland Sidekick, yeah, I do. Borland Pascal, formerly Turbo Pascal, and Borland C, C++. I think I bought every single release of those from, well, certainly Borland Pascal from release 4, and then I couldn't wait every time they'd bring out their new release. You know, you get that whopping great big box full of 1 billion manuals, and it was great. Did most of my programming startup, started around about that kind of phase. I mean, before then I was doing basic and assembly for the various small machines. But when Borland came out with these Borland Pascal and Borland C packages, physical box packages, it was fantastic. I was at university around about that time. Let's see. Okay, we need the... Yeah. That was good value too. I think about $130 for the package. It was excellent stuff. And this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I think when they went to Delphi, they basically ruined it. The concept was great. The rapid application development, it was fantastic. But I think the fact that they never updated their widgets and icons, eventually, by the time we got to like the mid-90s, already, I mean, only been out a couple of years, already Delphi was looking pretty antiquated and childish in some ways. Okay. What have we got? Yeah, we're doing the 5 watts here. Oh, what did I miss, John? Alright, so something's heating up in this area up here. So it's definitely not TriStar. So we've got some bad behavior going on up here. Yep. So I'll be honest, I don't know what I'm dealing with up there. Sorry, John. Did I miss something important there, John Lockhart? Okay. No worries, John. Just didn't want you to feel like you had to be silenced over something. Hey, Creative Visuals, you still got your ZX81. That is cool. I never had a ZX81, but I had the local similar-ish type machine, and that was the... I'm going to get demonetized for saying this, but it was the Dick Smith VZ200, and then subsequently the Dick Smith VZ300 came out, and so I cut my teeth mostly on that. And then I did get my first PC, which of course was the 4.77, or with the 10 megahertz turbo button, 8088. I never had a 8086 machine, but the 88s were good enough for what I was doing. Still have the Commodore 128. Now that's a computer that sort of... It should have been more successful, but I think... What was the problem that killed it? Was it just that it was too expensive? Or that people were just more than content still with the 64? Yeah, Greg, did Borland sell out, or the first thing they did, I remember, is they changed their name to InPrize. And I was like, why? Why did you guys do that? You just took your good name that had a lot of market recognition and momentum, and you go and change yourselves to InPrize, which everybody's like, well, what the hell's this? And they spent a whole, goodness knows how much money that cost to do the name change. And Delphi just languished and languished and languished. And then, of course, Microsoft Visual C, or Visual Basic, I should rather say instead, came along and basically started eating their lunch at quite a rate. And then I believe they tried to change back to Borland, but the gap was just too big and everybody had moved on. And just like my surgical knife has moved on somewhere, there it is. Oh, OS2 was my other passion. OS2 Warp was in particular quite good. Just unfortunately that Microsoft pulled a pretty damn smart Swifty on them and basically left them dead in the water too. Made IBM look pretty like, well, what are we going to do now, guys? Nothing. That was some seriously smart business work by Mr. Gates at the time. At least I think it was him that did the jumping around to make that happen. Alright, I don't like this. I do not like this because it is very clean. And is that a... No, that's not. I almost got yummy steaked then. Got all excited over a hair that looked like a crack. Alright, so I guess we will heat this up. Not heat this up. Connect this up. See what in here gets bright. Don't like my chances. Hey, flying skull. Back when mobile phones could be deadly, yes. Carrying around the great big packs on their back. I think the trick with those two, it was a little bit different in the fact that it was a multi-process but single user system. And so it found itself, it couldn't effectively compete with Windows after the trickery that Microsoft pulled. And Unix already had the multi-user, multi-process worlds sorted out. So they were kind of a bit lost there. And it was a very good single-user, multi-process system. But it just didn't have... It was a little bit too late. And the momentum was definitely going the way of Windows. And especially once Microsoft Office hit the market, that was basically it. That was the end of everything. Microsoft Office is probably what I would consider to be what won Microsoft the domination of the PC world. And I mean, I know WordPerfect bought out their suite and all that sort of stuff, and IBM bought out their Lotus suite and things like that. But nothing was able to compete with Microsoft Office. And it was difficult because it was an example of, if you do things professionally, you had certain standards and things are done right or whatever. And then, like if you use WordPerfect 5.1 and you're an office assistant or legal assistant, stuff like that, everything was done very properly. And then this Microsoft Office comes along and says, to hell with all that, I'm just going to go all wild and crazy here and make it easy for everybody to do anything. And of course, the everybody's make up 90-odd% plus of the market. And they all went, hey, this is great. This is a hell of a lot easier than Microsoft Word. WordPerfect 5.1. I'm going to change to this. And that was basically the death knell. Well, they got their monopolistic practices by the power that was given to them by the people who decided that Office was better. Yeah, I mean, Bob, it was, as I said, smart business. I mean, ethically, sure, there's issues there, it's unfair and all that stuff. But in terms of business strategy, if you're going to take ethics out of it, which most businesses, corporates do, it was brilliant. Okay, now I've got heat showing up there. You kidding? What? Alright, that's the PMIC going crazy there. I don't like it when the PMIC does that. Bad PMIC. The PMIC was getting all hot, so that's not a good thing. So let's see if we can have some chance of understanding where that heat's coming from. Maybe we can, suss out what area under the chip it is and basically what possible, what possible lines power lines it's on. It seems to take a little while to kick in though. But honestly, it just doesn't feel like 5 watts though. That's the thing that really is baffling me here. It does not feel like 5 watts. It is warm, but if that's genuinely 5 watts, there's no way you can... the big white spot is normal. There should be no way you can get your finger on that. Not with 5 watts. The only thing I can think of is this is actually under the CPU. There's a CPU issue. There's a fair bit of warmth coming actually from the speaker amp area. We're just going to have to peel all the shields off on this one because quite frankly it's not giving me any truly good hints here. I don't really want to inject anything yet. It's too early in the game of diagnosis to do that. Because we don't even know where we're going. And alcohol is certainly an option, but once again, I want to get a better idea of what's getting cooked up here. Because the fact that I've got 5 watts going in, and the infrared camera is not immediately bloodhounding onto one spot, is a bit of a concern. So there's a couple of things that could cause that. One is that it's, like I said, the CPU, the underside of the CPU, somewhere like that. And you don't get to see the direct issue. Instead, you just sort of get to see the heat building up as a dissipating factor. The other one is that it is a hotspot, but it's actually hidden by one of the shield edges. Although normally that still glows out pretty strong with the infrared camera. I'm just trying to spot if there's anything obvious in here. And like I'm looking at this overfill, sometimes if there's something really hot, it will have a tendency to change the texture and color of it, but nothing obvious there. I'm genuinely disinclined to remove the CPU shields. But, like I said, I feel like I'm going to have to because I need to strip everything off. Get a better view of what the heck's going on here. It could be a NAND cap fault. Given that we know that this has been dropped, it would not be unheard of for it to be a NAND cap fault. Okay, so we're going to have to slice down there, lift up this silicon edge here that holds that down, and then take that shield off. Barry, I doubt it'd be a fuse on the grounds of the fact that we actually are getting a full 1 amp. God, I hate doing this. I really hate it. Just feels so wrong to cut this. Okay, where's my Grim Reaper? Hey, Josh. Yeah, I genuinely don't like doing it. It just. Uh, I mean, I hate the fact that Microsoft? I hate the fact that Apple actually did that. I know it's supposed to be for the EMF stuff. I still don't like it. Alright. Alright, now to get this shield off, we can do the things like the crystalline drop method, or the other way is I just like to jam a pair of fairly heavy tweezers and just put the tip under there. And then start doing the rounds. Yeah, it's a real concern that this is a pretty clean looking board. Ah, a bunch of TriStars hanging out. They're dead. By the way, if you ever do iPhone 7s, do not heat that thing up. Don't get hot air near that thing. Just don't. You'll never get one back down. It's one of those horrible packages that has a lower melting point internally than pretty much everything around it. So once you remove it, you're not going to be able to get a replacement back down without it internally dying, shorting. Okay, maybe someone can, but it's a pretty good chance you're not going to be able to. I was lucky, I was doing a data recovery job, and fortunately I didn't have to put it back on, but it drove me insane for quite a few hours, because every time I would pre-check those coils that's in here, the coil packs, and they'd be fine. And then by the time I got them back onto the new board, they were either open circuit or they were shorted. And I was like, what is going on here? And yeah, that's what it is. Hey Sam, thank you very much for the €349. Thank you. I was quite happy. I picked up some sales of Flexboard View last night, because that was after I've finally made the new versions, the Alpha 1300 series onwards, available in general. And no, it was good to see people buying it, because it does have a new price tag on it that might upset some people. Hey Billman, Michael. Alrighty. Okay, well, we're going to have another look at this under the infrared camera and see if we can get a little more accuracy on where the hotspot's coming up. I might disconnect it from the tripod and use it with just by hand, and that way I can bring it in closer to the board and get a bit of a better look. Okay, Stuart, thanks for being here. Might see you tomorrow if I'm on. Will board view ever support Gerber? Well, Gerbers don't actually have any. Gerbers are just basically. They're not raster files, but effectively they're just polygon files. That's all. They're not really data files. They don't have any information about what the net names are or anything like that. The normal Gerbers. And there's already a very good Gerber program out there for Unix. So I don't have any inclination, because basically once you load a Gerber into Flexboard View, there's nothing you can do with it. It's just an image. It may as well be an SVG image in Inkscape. So that's why I haven't bothered doing any Gerber support, because one, there's already a really good Gerber program in Linux, which means it should be available on most operating systems, and two, it doesn't really match with what Flexboard is. Right. A channel at 30,000. Probably don't want to hear my thoughts on that one. Basically, in some ways, I'm kind of like, okay, I need to make better content that's more interesting, content that actually has more content per minute. Concentrate the content. I need to edit videos a lot more. Mind you, as a casual streaming channel, I think 30,000 is doing okay after 5 years now. I kind of am a little bit thinking it should have been a little bit higher by now, but I keep losing the momentum of doing good videos, editing good videos and things like that. Because while a casual stream like this is fine for everybody to participate, for the person going past the channel, they're going to look at this 3-hour video and they're going to go, well, this is boring as hell. So I need to be able to distill the live streams afterwards into a more compact, useful, quick video. But of course, that all just takes effort, and that's the problem. The last couple of years, I just simply don't have the time to put into it, because I've been absolutely crazy trying to make sure I get the money for the house, and there's been a lot of things. Even simple videos can be surprisingly, take a surprising amount of effort to do. I mean, I've done a couple of hundred of videos that I've edited, but at this point I'm kind of like, okay, I really, dear camera, why did you do that? Sorry, I'm about to bring it up and it just decided to stop running. Okay, let's go. Let's see, schematics, there we go. Alright, what are we looking at there? Okay, so that's kind of CPU edgy. It's definitely the hot spot. On the edge is kind of good. Maybe not. So, okay, that's an offset issue I've got there. So that's actually further in. Just hang on there. Okay, so that's dead in the middle of the PCH. I've noticed there's a chip down here that's getting warm. It's kind of the first one after those two silver ones. Okay, take note of that. And the center of the CPU. So we've got a real problem here. This is not just some simple shorted cap. I mean, maybe there is a shorted cap, but this is something in the middle. So I would say, I don't know what to think about this one actually. We'll have a look at it under the microscope while it's running. But I don't like our chances on this one. If we're really lucky, it might just be a cap next to the PMIC. Again, don't like my chances, but we'll try. Use the finger method. Still doesn't feel like 5 watts. 5 watts, something should be getting quite hot. No. Alright, at this point, I'll be honest, at this point I'll probably ship this off to Bill down at A1 Mobile Repairs, and he can deal with this. I'll send Jason Vilmer or someone like that a message and ask them if they've got any opinions. I think what my other option could be. It's interesting because the display works. So like if I put the display on it and I press the power button, it will come up and just simply say we're not charging, we need more charge, with a little connect the charger symbol sort of thing. So that sort of thing is all working, but it's just gobbling up the power for some reason. Now the battery's already been changed. That one that we just used was a new battery. What are we going for time? Okay, we're past midnight, so it's probably time for me to pull out a MacBook. It seems like a safe time to bring out a MacBook. But realistically, I'll say to the person, the owner of this, I'll go, look, unless you're actually after data, it's probably just going to be better to walk away from this one. Now, I know you're probably saying, well, what do you want to do that for? You lose out on a job or something like that. But realistically, I've got enough of those jobs in this workshop. I've got enough of those, well, if I dig around and try and find it, I might be able to fix this thing. What I need more of are the jobs of opening it up, going, I know exactly what's wrong with this, let me fix that, and it'll be out in 2 hours. That's the kind of work you actually want if you're running a business and you want to, keep your doors open. If you start getting into these little cute puzzles, then you will not stay viable for long. So it's a choice, and the choice I have to make here is that I want to stay viable. Alright, and by staying viable, I've got to find this MacBook. It's a big challenge of the night. Here we go, found it. I'm a winner. Hey Chris, how's it going? Chris, I already repaired something, alright? Chris, you can tell me, you're an iPhone genius. We just had the iPhone 7. It's heating up. It's using 5 watts, 1 amp, 5 volts off the lightning port. It's heating up on the middle of the PMIC and on the CPU. That's with a new battery, with a new dock. What else was it? If you power it up, or you try to power it up, while it has been charging for an hour or two, which doesn't seem to do anything, it will show you the connect battery charging symbol and things like that. So that all functions. But the weird thing is, it's using 5 watts of power, and it just doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So it confuses me. It's like I'm expecting some sort of hotspot, but it's all just being dissipated somewhere between the PMIC and the CPU, and I don't know where it is. So and that frustrates me. Alright, so what's the deal with this one? Will not power on. Okay. Let's pop it open and have a look. Hey, Critus. Chris, shouldn't you be you should be at work, shouldn't you? What are you doing on chat? So if directly connect to the battery connector with power supply, it won't boot or will. It doesn't seem to want to, but then I didn't try with the power supply system. I'll have to do that in a bit. The only other thing that got warm that I could see was a chip that's I don't know what the chip is. I'll have to check the board view. And it wasn't that hot, but it did still show up relative to the rest of the thing. Let me have a look. Let's see, flex board view. Oh, it's a 7 Plus, damn it. I don't know if I've got a working 7 Plus one. Nope, somehow I don't think I do. God, I hate it how we can't get access to the stuff we need. Well, I'll show you on the iPhone 7, it'll be close enough. Where am I getting these BVREs from? Oh. Home, BVREs. Oh yeah, actually yeah. Qualcomm, I think. This chip here, U21. Oh, that's Tigris. Oh, now that I see that it's Tigris, maybe that's just what's at fault. Okay, Tigris is probably Cactus. Mark, I'll catch up with you later. Yeah, for some reason I didn't think it was Tigris. My bad. Then again, it might be functioning and something else is amiss. Yeah. I just didn't think it was Tigris for some reason because I'm an idiot. Alright, let's get back to things that I actually can be sort of maybe trusted with. Namely MacBooks. Okay, it's an interesting piece of junk there. Let's get the battery disconnected. It's a bit late now for me to be working on an iPhone, so I will do, damn it, I hate it, I always do that. These batteries, right, use a plastic spudger folks, don't use metal. If you use metal doing what I just did then, it will be here in this workshop getting fixed. Okay, this is a 2015 A1502, you can tell by that shield, also by that shield I think. Tigris is your charging, Infinity Boys. It's your ISL. Yeah, I realised Tigris is my charger. I know a lot of people think that TriStar is, but it's like, nope, it's not. Anyway, I'll replace Tigris tomorrow. Okay. When you take the drives out, make sure they're marked so that if you accidentally drop them off the edge of the bench or something like that, you don't lose it and go, whose drive is this? It doesn't have a name on it, I'll use it for myself. You wipe the customer's data and then things get very bad for you from there. Alright, we're going to plug this in to the power supply, see what we get. Tigris is more common on newer phones. Okay, good to know, but this is a 7 Plus, so that's still pretty ancient. Green light. No fan spin. 200 milliamps. Interesting. Alright, that's an interesting state for it to be in. We'll disconnect the daughter board. Sometimes that can be at fault. We're going to take it out anyway. But the daughter board can often be a culprit on these machines. Okay, that's disconnected. Alright, so that's interesting. That's, oh yeah, there goes 200. The other thing to watch on these is that the fan will not spin until it actually is pretty much roasting. When I first started doing MacBooks, we had one of these machines and it went back and forth between myself and the supplier, the other business, a couple of times because they kept saying the fan's not spinning, it won't spin. So it's spinning, it's just you gotta wait till it gets to about 90 degrees before it starts spinning. Alright, well, we are not getting a blink. Okay, so we're in a SO, hopefully an SO state, pretty close to an SO state, but we're not getting any sort of CPU activity. Alright, so we're going to take this out, have a look, see what's going on. It could be a multitude of things. Chris, you still down at one store now? I know you did go back to one store, but I just wasn't sure whether you're planning on going back to two, or whether you've given that sort of thing up for now. Okay, disconnect keyboard, disconnect trackpad, disconnect camera. Power it up again just to see if any of those caused anything. Business has doubled. Okay, well that's good. You've got your objective, which was to increase business without having to have the extra store. That's brilliant. But you're doing MacBooks now, aren't you? You're stealing my business. Though to be fair, it's like, sure, I do fix them, but the numbers I fix are very minimal. And part of that is because I spend more time working on the software side of things, doing Flexboard View or coming up with tools for everybody. Hey, Toast Tech. That's my excuse. But I think it is now time for me to start pushing more heavily into advertising and getting more people on board with sending jobs to me. That stays on there. You don't undo that screw. Just leave it on there and bring the fan out when you take the whole assembly out. You do everything. Fixed a Dyson vacuum cleaner. I needed software. I don't want to move to, especially not to Kentucky. If I'm going to go to the continent of America, then I'm probably going to move to Canada. It's far more my kind of thing. Okay, board out. Can't see any corrosion marks. There's a little bit of liquid there. Interesting. Yep, found liquid. Okay. It's probably going to be on something like a sus line. I'm definitely a Canada person. Sorry, folks. Just telling it like it is. Okay, what is this liquid? Wow, that's yeah, that pretty much would. Where did that come from? Where did it come from? Where did it go? There's liquid on the board. Okay. What board? This would be a 4924. Well, in this case, it wouldn't really be a spillage. This is something else. This is why it's a little bit perplexing to me, funnily enough, because of the fact that it is a spillage. Alright. Let's go schematics. This is what it is. LCD panel, yeah, EDP. Okay, that doesn't really explain it not starting, apart from the fact that maybe it's holding down a line. That's certainly a problem, but it should not stop it from running. Mind you, what other lines are on it? Okay, 3v3SO. Okay, if 3v3SO PCH GPIO has been pulled down, that would definitely cause a problem. So what's that? Let's see, A330. Let's see what the diode mode on that particular little chap is. I think it's not cracked, it's just looks like it's got a hair on it, I'd say. Okay, diode mode is active. We want to test that cap. Wait, what? Am I on the right side of the board? Should I say the correct sides? Make the orientation what I've got here. Yeah. Ah, right. Okay, that makes more sense now. .34, so it's not pulling it down. I mean, that's certainly a mess, and it is bleeding. I don't know, is it? Is it cracked? Nope, that was just a hair, Chris. I want my $5 for that one, buddy. It was not a crack. Didn't think it was. The power of having the stereoscopic view here when you guys are stuck with a monoscope. Alright, now, like I said, that's not a nice bit of work there. That could be causing it. But I'm going to check the rest of the board in case we've got a real smoking gun somewhere. It's certainly not pleasant. It's done a number on the board. Now that, on the other hand, I might consider to be more likely to be at fault. Ah, great. So this is going to be fun because basically that means our keyboard... yeah. Alright. See, now that's more of a killer. That means on the chassis, the damn keyboard backlight is effed up. If we're lucky, we might be able to rebuild it, but no, I don't know. $6 million man might be a little expensive on this one. Damn it. Back up, back up. Yeah, no. I might be able to cut back. That, or I'll just see if they're willing to live without a keyboard backlight. But I might be able to, cut this back here and then reattach, but yeah, that there is far more likely why things are wrong. Yeah, these are no fun. I wonder what liquid that was. That's really messed it up. I mean, that whole area has to be done again on the other side as well. But, yeah. Alright, so that's a 99% smoking gun. We're still going to check over the rest of the board, just in case. You never know. And Chris Long still owes me $5 because he was a little bit too adamant about it being a crack on that chip, but it was just a piece of junk. That said, if we're playing that game, I've probably lost a couple $100 to Chris by now from watching his videos. By the way, Chris, you ever going to be doing YouTube videos again? We do kind of miss your particular flavour of YouTube. Now this is not it's not really the nicest connector to deal with, in the sense that it's a fickle little SOB. It likes to get upset when you try to remove it. Mostly because you've got the LVDS here and you've got the solid state drive connector there, and you don't want to have either of them get messy. Now getting it off isn't quite so bad, because you can just, run some lump solder here. Oh, I do love my fume extractor. I mean, look at that, it's just drawing away that nastiness. Now, I'm going to do shields up and hot air. Hey Urium, Rundit. Victoria, lived there for a couple of years. Then I went out to Centurion. That was a bit of a nice change to go to Centurion compared to Pretoria. That's good, danke. Glad to see I can still sort of remember my Afrikaans slightly. I know how to swear still. Does that count? That's sort of like the first thing you ever get taught when you get to South Africa. And then you get to say thank you and please. Bad, thank you now. That was a bit tricky to get off. Took a little longer than I wanted. Can you fix a fan error problem in a laptop? Depends on why you've got a fan error. There's, unfortunately, such errors, there's so many possible causes for them. You can't really just sort of go, oh yeah, I can fix that. Will you look at it? Yes. Can you fix it? Depends on why it's happening. Okay, we're going to leave this disconnected for the moment. We'll return to that another day. Hey Tim, how's it going, Tim? Just had a nice crispy fried, 49.24, and we got this as well. Now, before I actually desolder that, I'm going to put some 80-20 alcohol water mix and brush off most of that coke, because I don't really want that coke turning into carbon. Yep. Because if you hit it with the hot air, it's just going to carbonize it, which means you're going to end up with, well, little carbon tracks. Look at that, it almost looks like it's perfect. See? Big difference. In fact, I wonder if it is bleeding even. Well, I'll lift it up and have a look anyway. You can tell I used water in that alcohol because you can see it's like leaving little pools everywhere. But if you don't use the water one, then it will not get rid of things like Coke. You have to have a little bit of water in your alcohol mix to get the Coke to lift. True of most drinks, in fact. Okay, there's a bit of bleeding going on there, so... Yep. Use 70%, alright. You're more game than I am. I'll pretty much limit mine at 80. Come on, hurry up. Heat up. Come on. That'll do. It's terrible, but it will do. The hot air will fix everything. I just gotta find a donor. 49.24. Hopefully this one will also have that connector, but... Oh wow, this one actually has the connector. That's pretty rare for me. Oh, right. Now I see why you're using 70%. That makes sense. Oh, that is one ugly connect... No, I don't think I'm going to use that chip. But I will use that connector. So we'll take this connector off. In a way that should make everybody cry. Because I like doing it this way, because it makes everybody cry. Oh yeah, I've long since stopped using IPA as a post-ultrasonic wash. Yeah, for me it's ultrasonic, wash in the water, and goes into the oven. I don't know why IPA leaves that residue, but it definitely does. I don't know whether it's... Actually, I just realised I can't use this one. See that pin there? That's recessed back. That's no good. It's probably an NC pin, but I don't care. It's no good. Take it back. I thought that as well, Tim, and maybe that is the case, but I've also noticed it even on very fresh, brand new IPA, and where you wouldn't expect any flux. I mean, you're right, flux does leave a residue too once it's suspended into the IPA. All I know is that boards come out so much better when it's just water and then oven. how many people are having screaming heart attacks watching that. People going, you can't do that. You shouldn't be doing that. Don't take the connectors off from the front. Heat it from the back. It's like, you don't have to. That's one way of doing it, but you know, if you actually can control your heat, then you can do it from the front. You just got to be patient. No, you're not allowed to do it that way. I'm going to complain to Louis Rossman, and the elders of the MacBook repair world are going to come after you and take your license away. It is funny what people can get upset about. And that's a wrap. You do 260. What do I use? I use 420. 420 at, what was it? 420 at 80 from quite a distance. But yeah. The key, of course, is, you know, Tim does it his way, I do it my way. The key is that the part goes down properly and it doesn't get melted. So he probably puts his a bit closer, whereas I keep mine a bit further away. In the end, as long as you control it so you don't melt it, then all is good. Yeah, everybody has their own way. And yeah, the world would be a lot better if more people understood that concept. I mean, there are rough guidelines, certainly. You know, if you've never done something before, then it's good to like have someone say, well, you can do it this way. But it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be that way. Some things you have to do a certain way, but most things probably there are alternative options. Find something that works for you. And as long as it works for you and produces a proper result, as opposed to doing a hack job that is of an inferior outcome or strength or stability, then okay, you know, you got a problem there. But if it works and it works properly, then go for it. Hey Margarita Doctor, hey, where have you been lately? And just to make you all rage, that is actually SAC 305 solder I used on those pads. It is not lead solder. Damn, my eyeballs are out of whack compared to the camera, I'm sorry. Yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Soda was displaced yesterday. Or was it the day before? The day before. Yeah. It's just the way it goes sometimes. Alright, let's see if this actually at least gives us a CPU boot now. Because remember, before we were getting up into the proper power state, but we weren't. It just wasn't letting the CPU run. So let's see if we actually have any CPU activity, which means we have to actually get the damned MagSafe. Let's hope I've got one in here. That's the bet I do not have the MagSafe I need in here. No, I've got spare chipmunks, spare Hacko keys, money, battery board from, don't know. Actually don't know what that one's from. Right, so no MagSafe there. Which is kind of funny because I could have sworn I had one in there. Alright, just have to take it from the chassis. Damn it. Yeah, Miles, poked the hornet's nest a few too many times. That's fundamentally what it sort of came down to, yes. I mean, honestly, I have a problem with a bit of banter. You get used to hecklers and all that. You wouldn't even put him in the heckling category. Just, someone who came in and set the lower boundary on expectations. But the lack of understanding and the attitude with regards to the open board data collection system, there was just accumulated to too much. Anyway, let's see if we have any luck here. We want a green blink. Fan spin's not going to happen. At least I don't imagine it will. Come on, blink. Blink, you yes, there we go. Green blink. We're alive. Alright. Oh, look at that. And the fan spun. Okay, so that's fixed. Now, the real challenge here is going to be what we're going to do about the keyboard connector for the backlight. It's not super critical, but it is a function of the machine. So we're going to shave back that connector and see if we can get a hold of those two pins. Yeah, Miles, if only they were all that easy, but we all know that that's just not going to happen that way. Now, what really doesn't help is, that connector's got to be replaced, and I'm right next to the. It's not looking ideal for me. So we get the metal plate and try and get that. Assuming the backlight even works, it should do. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. It should have just, it just kept burning away, that's all. My brain is telling me I need to remove the screen. Which is a bit of a pain. It's not the biggest pain, but it's more work. Aluminium tape. The only trouble I worry about with a lot of this is that when you're doing the hot air rework, it is amazing how many times that hot air just manages to sneak its way around one little crevice, and before you know it, you've completely ruined your clutch cover. And I'm just not in the mood to have to put a replacement. I mean, it's easy enough, but you still got to take the screen off anyway. So I may as well sacrifice the time with get the screen off now than having to do it and also having to replace the clutch cover. I hate doing these. It's so easy on these ones to just do it slightly wrong and then pink, there goes your Wi-Fi connector. And you're like, damn you, Wi-Fi connector. Gee, I hope there's no personal information. There we go. Okay, I have no idea what that is. That looks like the inside of a push button for a battery thing. You know, on the 1278s and whatnot, where they have the little battery indicator on the side. That little thing looked like that. So I don't know where that came from or why. I've retained it in there, but I'm just not sure why it popped out. I'm going to go low and slow. You really do not need a lot of heat with these. They don't have a lot of thermal, what do you call it? They don't have a lot of thermal mass, so they come up pretty damn quick. How did that get maximized? Sorry, I'm just looking at something. I also don't want flux getting down into the keyboard if I can help it. Looks like I might need a little more. Okay, so those two traces actually came from the inside, which is kind of useful. I'm just going to check the schematic for that connector. So we've got ground, ground. Forwards, preferences, search. Yeah, we really don't have any data on that one. Oh well. Okay. Did I lose my live stream then? Hey, Micromage. No, it just all of a sudden went really quiet on this side. Alright, time for the micro pencil. It's all that coat coming off it. Yeah, that looks like carbonized flex, which is not good, because that's conductive if it is. Alright, so there's our 2 points that we want to use. Just cleaning out the carbon over here. So we just need to run these out, and that should hopefully let us put the connector down and capture them. Let's see. I was trying to think of the ideal wire to use in this case. I could try some rebar. Rebar might... I'm a little worried that rebar might be a little bit too fat. But we'll see. Hey, Jose. Well, we'll give the rebar a shot. It might work. Anthony, yeah, it's moderately late. It's, what is it, 1 o'clock in the morning, so it's, mind you, compared to lately with my programming, I've been up to 4 or 5 in the morning with programming, so it's not too bad. I'm just reorientating this so that I can Yeah, flattening it I have considered, like drawing it through something. I think it's certainly a viable option. It would help if I could hold... that's a terrible connection. I'm not going to rely on that. Breathe, Paul, breathe. Okay, that's better. Nah, Miles, I think it's just a bit of luck. I don't think there's much... No, it's just pure luck that I'm not killing people, I guess. Well, this is going to be fun because I've obviously got to get the connector back down on here. I may have to actually individually solder the connector rather than hot airing it. That said, yeah, doing this is far easier than some of the amazing stuff I see people do with iPhones. I mean, I am just constantly left in awe with what some of those people do. Oh, I just lost my wire. And there it is. I know it's out of focus, I'm sorry. It's not a good connection. Both of these pins might be redundant, I'm not sure. Let's see. These two... Let's see, let's go switch over to the board view. So these two represent these two up here. So that, which is also there, and that. So yeah, I mean, you're right, they are redundant. Because the ground's well and truly covered and the backlight's in two places. But that could be a trick. It may be, see, you don't know, maybe in the keyboard this side runs off to one side of the keyboard and this side runs off to another side of the keyboard, and so you may end up with a keyboard that's only illuminated half. I don't know. Very likely the ground is redundant, but the actual backlight output pin may not be. I said, don't quote me on that stuff because I really don't know. Certainly one way to find out would be to test. Okay, that's a much better connection. That connection I actually like. Obviously we're going to have to UV cure this. I don't seem to be having the greatest of luck with my UV cure lately. It just seems to constantly be... it just keeps flaking off. So I don't know whether I've got to run that... Maybe I've had it for too long or something, I'm not sure. All I know is it doesn't work very well. That's not quite what I wanted. I'm just spreading it out so that I can thin it down, not because I need to spread it anywhere, it's just... So I just want it thinner. Takes a bit longer. These are LED UVs, obviously not laser. The upside of the LED ones, of course, is that you get greater spread of the UV light compared to the laser. If you want schematics or board views, check badcaps.net. That's where most of us go. Badcaps. It's getting late. I can feel myself slowing down. Yeah, when you get tired to the point where you really, I don't know, maybe it's getting older thing too. It's just like, yep, I'm going to slow down. Yeah, anyway, you get the drift. Alrighty. Next trick of the decade. I just realised, where the hell am I going to get where am I going to get another one of those connectors from? Yeah, I didn't think about that. Okay. Doesn't really look like an iPhone-ish type connector. Crap. Alright, we gotta find another one of those connectors. Okay, so it's maybe this. It's a 10-pinner. I'm hoping to God that there's an iPhone one. Because if there's an iPhone one, that's easy. Because it'll either be on the Flex or, yeah, it'll be something I can easily grab. Let's see, 138's got it. But I remember these being a little bit obscure. Lo beholder 4924 has it. Funny that. Same 3642. I may have a spare chassis for this, but it's really something you'd clip off a broken keyboard. Like, if the keyboard was damaged, you'd clip it off. I should have just made a search in the iPhone folder. And it didn't find anything. Damn it. Because it's way too big for a normal iPhone connector. So it all just... Damn it. Yeah. That's not an easy... It's not an easy one to find. It's fantastic, you know, we fixed this up, but we don't have a connector for it. So, find something sufficiently similar and smush it. Yeah, I'm probably going to need a donor, yeah. A donor keyboard. You know, I have thrown out... Damn it. Why do I throw things out? Every time. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to think in the back of my head if I could remember any other chassis that have something similar. But I really cannot think of anything that does. Yeah, other than this particular series. And yeah, I don't want to have to buy a replacement keyboard just for this. That's a $30 connector. Don't think that's going to, yeah. I've spent the whole day reballing a U4100 for the 239 Beryllium chip. What is that? A 239. 239. Looks like I've worked on one. Which one's that? It's not this, is it? No, it's Alpine Ridge. 923. Funnily enough, I also get 239 and 923 swapped around in my head a lot. Why don't I have a 923 here? I've got a 928. Would you call that chip? Berkelium. There we go, 928. Is that page 40? Oh, okay, so it's a SMC type of balling. I'm surprised you had to manually reball that. I'm surprised you couldn't find a stencil for it. That's a bit of a shame. I can see it's fine pitch because, yeah, you got your CD3215s here. So the pitch is certainly fine. Wow, it's got a good number of non-connecteds too. Wow, okay. Oh, okay, thanks, Pionov. Anyway, well, look, I gotta be honest with you. Now that we've done that connector, I'm pretty much, I think I'm kind of done for the night. So what I'm going to do is I'll just have to find a replacement connector somewhere, steal it from something, and put that on. Hopefully that UV cure will hold. Now, of course, the big problem is going to be the other pins on there. They're going to ride a little low, so I'm going to have to puff them up with some solder. It's not going to be the prettiest, but hopefully it will restore keyboard backlight. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. A bit of a different night tonight, and let's see what else. We'll try to replace the Tigris in the iPhone 7 tomorrow if the customer wants to pay for that. At least we got this board running, and we got the MSI running, but the MSI was pretty much obvious what it was going to be. So I'll catch you all next time, and like I said, if you are involved with, if you've got diode value measurements and things like that for boards and things like that, then let me know, because the new open board data system is running nicely with Flex Board View now. So we've got people adding information every day, which is excellent. So like the iPhone 6 here. So schematics. So the green slime represents where people have submitted data. So you can see we've got our connectors, which sort of imply the connections over here. And of course, yeah, the 165 main board is absolutely choked full of green slime because it's a very popular board. So yeah, the open board data project, it's finally getting some momentum to them. About 6 months after I said I'd get something done, hopefully we can actually make it a resource that everybody can use. So yeah, it's the corrosion simulator, Andrew. So all right, I'm out of here. You all take care. I'll see you next time. Catch you later.